Hello, I'm Asian Ghost Stories, and I specialize in retelling true horror stories from Asia. Today, I'll share two iconic tales from the region. Let's dive right in. I was sipping coffee with a couple of younger guys. The two women hastily gathered their belongings and vanished. These kinds of people pop up everywhere, using sedatives and dark magic to con others. They employ all sorts of tricks. Some sprinkle drugs onto maps, asking passers-by for directions just to blow the powder in their faces. Others rub the stuff on their hands, a casual touch turning into a dizzying haze, leaving the victim in a trance, a puppet dancing to their tune. The concoctions, they say, come from China. The con artists themselves are unaffected. They spray a counteragent on their faces before targeting their prey. Sorcery, Buangai, it's a strange, mystical thing, and it's real. I was sitting face to face with a Khmer sorcerer, a friend of mine who had practiced Yanling, a powerful form of magic, for over 50 years. At night, his eyes would glow an eerie red, like embers in the dark. His hair would sometimes stand on end. He sat in the lotus position, swaying, his voice becoming distant and otherworldly. He'd left me stunned, bewildered in the dead of night on more than one occasion. It was as if he could walk through crowds of people, unseen. He could catch the wildest dogs with ease, even when they were snarling and snapping. I remember times when we were caught in sudden RPD fire, bullets tearing through the undergrowth like a scythe, and he'd emerge without a scratch. There was this one time he made us hold our breath and close our eyes while we waded across a small stream. When we reached the other side and looked back, we saw 4 Viet Cong soldiers posted where we had just been, smoking heavily. It was dusk, we could see everything clearly. To this day, I still can't wrap my head around it. He explained that Tianling is a powerful protective force. But sorcery is a double-edged sword. Buangai originated in India, heavily influencing ancient Khmer culture, which had adopted many Indian beliefs and practices. Khmer people used to be vegetarian, following Indian religions until the Khmer Rouge regime forced them to eat meat and destroyed temples and religious sites. Then there's Kumathong. It's another dangerous form of magic. He told me it also originated in India, with incantations in ancient Sanskrit. The Thais later adapted it. Legend has it that a Thai woman, consumed by grief after losing her child, asked an Indian sorcerer to summon the child's spirit and bind it to a doll. This Kumathong becomes like a replacement child. Originally, parents who lost children would call back their spirits and house them in dolls, male or female. I've heard many stories from Vietnamese people who brought Kumathong back from Thailand. They told tales of strange happenings in their homes. Some Kumathong are simply like children, intended to help childless couples conceive. Others guard houses, attract customers, bring love, or protect against accidents. But my friend warned that they're a double-edged sword. Some people say they've seen the dolls move, cry, laugh, or glare with rage, clearly expressing their emotions. They must be kept hidden, away from direct sunlight. Offerings include red-colored water, since Kumathong are child spirits and are traditionally nourished with a few drops of their parents' blood mixed with water once a month. Nowadays, though, many who acquire Kumathong for business don't use blood anymore, as they're not strong enough to control the spirit. Instead, sorcerers often bind the spirits of aborted fetuses to the dolls, teaching them incantations as requested. They simply want the money, not caring about the consequences. This makes the Kumathong unpredictable and potentially dangerous when their demands aren't met. I heard a story about a friend whose cousin had a shop at Phung Kok Koan Market in District 1. She sought help when her Kumathong turned on her. At first, it was well-behaved, obedient, bringing her customers in good business for 3 years. But after she got married and became pregnant, things changed. The Kumathong started acting out. At first, it was just faint noises from the box where she kept it. Then came the knocking, toc toc toc, in the dead of night. One time, she opened the box and was horrified to find it sitting up, staring at her with furious eyes. She thought maybe she had neglected some ritual or offering, causing its unhappiness. But it got worse. All 3 of her employees quit in terror after experiencing strange phenomena. They dreamt of a little girl in a red dress, bouncing and taunting them, choking them in their sleep. They would wake up to see the doll sitting right in front of them, its empty, black eyes staring. Sometimes, when they went upstairs to get fabric, they felt something tugging at their legs, causing them to fall. Other times, it would scream in their ears, giving them splitting headaches that lasted all day. Even though it happened in dreams, they all described the same thing, a little girl in a red dress and shoes, with no eyes, just empty sockets. Customers disappeared, and her business plummeted. She went to a medium in Cambodian who told her clearly, Ling He, the child ghost, is following you, standing right outside the gate. It's jealous of your pregnancy. If you're not careful, it will kill your unborn child. The medium advised her to take the kumathong out, talk to it like a real child, even take it out to play, then take it back to Thailand to the original sorcerer. Luckily, he was still alive. Getting it had cost her around 10 million VND, but getting rid of it cost 60 million. My friend explained that keeping a kumathong is incredibly dangerous. He also said that truly powerful sorcerers don't flaunt their abilities. They don't sell their magic or use it for evil purposes. They simply use it for protection and help others when truly needed. Using these powers isn't just about ordering spirits around, it's a complex and intricate process. Tianling is an exceptionally potent form of magic, surpassed only by an even more ancient and rare form, almost lost to time. It's stronger than Bua Namong, Bua Loban, Bua Bakat, and Bua Dak. Only a few possess this knowledge. Much of what people say is just hearsay, exaggerated stories. Those who practice it are usually secretive and bound by strict rules. Only those who are well versed in various philosophical and spiritual doctrines can truly master it. Though mysterious, it's not divine. What people embellish, I think, is just that modern science hasn't found adequate answers or explanations. Knowledge is limitless, but human understanding is finite. These rituals have some connection to the spiritual realm, I believe that. Honestly, I'm just someone who's heard stories and has a vague understanding of this field. My knowledge is limited, so I can only recount what I've heard, not prove or explain anything. But seeing these things with my own eyes, seeing these practitioners in action, even a skeptic like me had to be amazed and acknowledge that there's something truly mysterious and strange at play. It's not some sleight of hand trick, it's something far more profound. In 2005, a blood-curdling scream echoed through the neighborhood. Everyone rushed to the source and found a mother cradling her daughter's lifeless body. It was said that the child's heart and intestines had spilled out. This was Tham, daughter-in-law of Mrs. Hai Lee from the intersection. They brought Tham and her daughter home, but tragedy had been stalking her. Her parents and husband had recently passed away, and now, her 3-year-old daughter. She was reportedly pregnant again, but lost the 5-month-old fetus. The villagers felt a mix of pity and dread. In 2006, a man named Tan was returning from the fields when he passed an abandoned warehouse. He spotted 2 feet dangling in the air. Petrified, he ran, screaming, "Mother! Someone's hanging! Help!" Neighbors rushed to the scene, partly out of concern, partly out of morbid curiosity. It was Tham. Some called the police, others informed Mrs. Hai Lee. Everyone assumed Tham had taken her own life, overwhelmed by the loss of her family. During Tham's funeral, a highly respected monk was invited to perform the rites. Upon entering, he declared that the family was stained with grave sins, having summoned and worshipped evil spirits. A villager protested, saying Tham had been a good and kind woman. The monk replied that he saw 5 spirits hovering over her coffin, and another, unborn one, radiating intense malice. He began chanting and flung his rosary beads into the air. The villagers clearly saw the beads separate, fly upwards, and then converge on something unseen. The monk cried out, "Why are you so restless? What grudge do you hold? Tell me, and I will help you." The villagers could only see the monk nodding, feeling a chill run down their spines. After a few minutes, the monk spoke again. "As I said, this family has committed terrible acts. They used the fetus of their own grandchild for a ritual to summon dark magic, and Guy, to bring them wealth. But the magic turned on them, killing them all. Tham's husband was an innocent victim, caught in the crossfire. Everyone was shocked and asked about the vengeful spirit of the unborn child. The monk explained that he would guide the child's spirit to the path of enlightenment to prevent it from harming others. Though its resentment was strong, it obeyed. The monk continued his chanting and completed the ceremony. As the monk left, he warned the villagers not to kill any animals near Tham's house, to prevent a demon dwelling within the cursed magic from absorbing their energy. This demon, he said, was too powerful for him to completely destroy. He had only sealed it within the house's grounds to prevent it from escaping and wreaking havoc on the village. From then on, no one dared to set foot in Tham's garden. Occasionally, people returning from the fields or children coming home from play would see 3 or 4 figures in white robes, their hands and feet chained, being whipped by an old man with 4 fangs. These sightings terrified everyone. The origins of the demon magic, Qiangai, is another story altogether. This is the tale of how it was summoned and how Tham's own unborn child was used in the ritual. As I mentioned, I've already touched on Tham's family tragedy, so now I'll delve into the story of how her father, Mr. Tu, became entangled with this dark magic. This account is based on what I've heard from people in the area and from the monk himself. In 2002, Tham married and had a daughter, Men. A few years later, Men was 3 years old, and Tham was pregnant with a son, about 5 months along. One day, Mr. Two mixed a potion, claiming it was a tonic for Tham's pregnancy. After she drank it, her mother said Tham started screaming in agony, "Mother! My stomach! It hurts!" Her husband tried to rush her to the hospital, a long journey from their home. They barely made it in time. The doctors diagnosed Tham with severe enteritis, affecting both her and the fetus. After some time, they performed an ultrasound to check the baby. Tham's mother and husband were stunned into silence, and the doctor was bewildered. The 5-month-old fetus had no limbs. It was just a head and a bloody mass for a body. No one dared tell Tham. After that horrifying discovery, the villagers helped Mrs. Two rebury the remains. Just a few days later, another devastating news spread through the village. Tham had died in a gruesome traffic accident. Her body was utterly destroyed, leaving only her head intact. This fresh tragedy piled upon the previous ones. Tham, having barely recovered from the loss of her child and husband, was now completely broken. Even the strongest spirit would have shattered under such weight. The villagers often saw her muttering to herself, "The baby's hungry. Don't deny him milk," or "Husband, he's hungry," among other incoherent ramblings. Some believed she had gone insane, while others whispered of a supernatural influence. No one dared to judge, but the suffering continued to plague the family. Mr. and Mrs. Two also met with bizarre deaths. Mr. Two was found dead with his eyes bulging out of their sockets, his tongue missing, and a bloody knife clutched in his hand. Mrs. Two was found stabbed, presumably by her husband. Finally, the culmination of all this horror came in 2005 with the death of Tham's daughter. As I recounted earlier, the inexplicable way her internal organs were expelled. Then, in 2006, Tham took her own life by hanging. Only much later did the truth come to light. Mr. Two had brought in dark magic, into their home. According to a confidant, Mr. Two had likely sought wealth and prosperity, which drove him to summon such dark forces. And with that, these two tales of summoning dark magic come to a close. Let me know your thoughts about these two stories in the comments below. If you're also a fan of chilling tales from Asia, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. That's it for now, see you next time.